Since 1997, Matt Stone and Trey Parker have been creating a series which has really changed the way we view comedy. South Park has very much taken cartoons out of the children-only zone and introduced it into the adult realm. In all these years of success, however, there has been one aspect in which has really been lacking: in video games. There have been a couple attempts, but most of them have been lukewarm at best. The original South Park game on the N64 was pretty terrible. South Park Tennorsman's Revenge was... and South Park Let's Go Tower Defense game was just okay. But at E3 2012, something new was introduced. Something different. Something good. Let me introduce you to South Park and the Stick of Truth. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment, the same developers as Knights of the Old Republic 2 Sith Lords and Fallout New Vegas, this game promises to shake up the old South Park game library by bringing a game that is actually decent. Does it keep on those promises? Let's take a look. You are launched into the world of South Park by creating your own character. The person you create is a new kid in South Park, and you are tasked with finding new friends to play with. The first person you happen upon is Butters, who introduces you to the Kingdom of Koopa Keep, or KKK, and Cartman as the Grand Wizard. This is where you decide what you want your character to be. There are 4 classes: Mage, Warrior, Thief, and Jew. As my first character, I decided to be a Jew. I'm not 100% sure if they are programming this intentionally into the game to try to be funny, or if it's just simply a product of the class system, but the Jews seem to be really weak. I often lost at battles, and it was just meta play. I then decided to make a new character and had him be a warrior. After that, I started winning a lot more battles. After you decide what class you're going to be, you are taught all the buttons, and then they launch you straight into the city of South Park. The world you are launched into is actually pretty incredible looking, due to the fact that it looks exactly like a South Park episode. The cutscenes are incredibly funny, with Trey and Matt voicing all the characters as usual. The game's jokes are pretty much on par with what they are on a normal episode of South Park. These cutscenes and jokes are really what is the strong point of the game and is really something that makes me come back and makes me play it more. There's a lot of references to both the show and other games of the fantasy genre. For example, the magic attack in which you fart on your opponent is called a Dragon Shout, which is an obvious reference to Skyrim. However, you must never, ever Dragon Shout on another man's balls.
And never on a man's balls.
The gameplay is pretty straightforward. You wander around the city of South Park and you get quests from different people. These quests are pretty varied. I mean, whether you're finding Jesus in a local church, breaking Craig out of detention, or putting man-bear-pig sensors around the map for Al Gore, there's always something to do in this small, remote mountain town. The world of South Park is actually pretty immersive world to explore in. A lot of the fun of the game can actually be just wandering around and talking to a lot of the residents and characters, and then finding hidden references. When I first booted up the game for the first time, all I wanted to do was run around and just kind of progress it through the story as fast as I could, just trying to see what there was. However, doing this method, I wasn't having a ton of fun with it. So after a suggestion of a friend, I started slowing down, really started taking in the environment around me, talking to everyone, finding new hidden treasures, and I started trying to find, and I found these references, and I really started enjoying myself a lot more. Fighting is very Final Fantasy-esque, where each side of the confrontation takes turns in attacking. You have 2 weapon types. You have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. Both types become very useful as, some enemies will take a stance in order to deflect a type. For example, an enemy elf could take a deflect stance in order to send ranged attacks right back at you. There's also special attacks. These specials are class specific, and they range from hitting someone with a baseball bat and ball to kicking someone in the testicles. How much damage you do really depends on if you click on the right moments in both the normal and special attacks. At first, I really was not used to this rhythm of when exactly you were supposed to click. There's a little indicator on your weapon and it'll tell you when to click, but I wasn't just getting it. I wasn't exactly sure when it was going to happen. But after a while, I got it down really easily, and it's a really fast system to learn. Something that I will give this game is that the enemies are legitimately hard. I died more than a few times with my playthrough of it, and it was a challenge to get through it in a few places, such as the boss fight with Jimmy. Luckily, the game allows you to reload just before the battle took place, so you never have to make up too much ground, which I actually really appreciate. The UI and menu system is also very well done. They organize everything like it's a social networking type website. On the left side is a picture of your character, your level, how much money you have, and other information in the style of a site like Facebook. Everything is organized into tabs with inventory, abilities, quests, the map, and other things easily accessible. The system is pretty simple, but it works incredibly well. I really enjoyed my time playing this game. However, I do see some problems. There was an entire part of the game in which I honestly had zero idea on what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to use my dragon farts on an object in order to get past it, but when I pressed the key to do it, nothing happened. This really annoyed me, even going as far as thinking that the game was broken and unplayable. I eventually turned to the old press every button until something happens routine, and lo and behold, something did happen. Turns out that you have to first select the Dragon Shout ability with the E key before you can use it. This may seem pretty simple, but the game never actually told me that I had to do that. Another problem that I came across is that the game does not save you exactly in the place that you saved in. Sometimes when you load the game back up, it will be in a room before the one you actually saved in. A couple small issues like this can be really annoying, but honestly overall, none of it was too much of an issue. Overall, South Park and the Stick of Truth is a pretty good game, and definitely the best South Park game ever made. The gameplay and combat are both pretty fun, however, I can see some problems on the horizon with it. What continually brought me back was not actually the combat or gameplay. Instead, it was wanting to see how the story progressed and how the dialogue went around. The cutscenes and banter between the main characters is definitely the strongest points of the game, but I'm afraid that after only one playthrough, it may become stale and used. In my experience, the difference in the classes really did not warrant multiple playthroughs, because their fighting style and strategies were not really that different. In the end, the way you attack someone is still by clicking at the right moment. However, in the grand scheme of the game, the fighting is something that is worth the toil to get through. The difficulty of the game never makes you feel cheated and actually makes you want to get through the combat sequences in order to progress the story and get to the next cutscene. The world of this game is so incredibly immense, diverse, and interesting that just wandering around and talking people is actually really fun and keeps bringing me back. In the end, I would give South Park and the Stick of Truth an 8 out of 10. It is definitely something worth picking up, even if it's only for one playthrough, just to see the story and dialogue. For ThumbDestruction.com, my name is Zach Ricklifs.